Distinguished friends, and it's really a great pleasure for me to actually be here. I'm really proud, as you mentioned, that we are supporting and actually sponsoring this prestigious event. In fact, it's a great gathering of minds. There is great value from the mere fact that we are here discussing these global issues, these global trends. We are sharing and creating better clarity on what we need to do and how to act. In fact, it is the third Economist conference that we've been supporting and sponsoring in the last 7 months. And I had the opportunity to be in London in March, talking about Cyprus and Greece with the UK on how strategic alliances and how we can work together regionally to improve common economic prosperity. I had the chance in May in New York to talk about Cyprus, Greece, Israel in the 3+1 also notion of cooperation. And I think some great key takeaways out of all those conversations are indeed that we are facing some very big problems, and these big problems clearly need holistic and integrated solutions. And the strength of the solutions come through regional alliances and through connecting the minds in the very way that we're doing here. And yet, we're here at another conference, we're discussing another set of crises, and it feels like another crisis, another conference. It all feels the same. And the set of crises that we're really addressing today is well covered, it's well known. We have the energy crisis, the threat of stagnation, supply chain disruptions, the enduring pandemic, great resignation, the war for Ukraine, in Ukraine, and on and on. But I would like to share with you my thinking. And my thinking, I will try to cover it in 3 broad sort of categories. Talk about the nature of the crisis, then talk about implications for us in Cyprus and how we're coping, but then focus on lessons learned and realizations and what we need to really, in my mind, be focusing on to move forward. So in terms of this context of the crisis, I have found very interesting some analysis from PwC's Global Research on Leadership and Strategy, because there's a realization that all these individual crises that we've been talking about, the world has survived more severe crises of the same nature before, so more severe pandemics, worse supply chain failures, much higher inflation, more significant workforce reductions, deadlier wars. But humanity has never before in its history had to face all these crises at the same time. So indeed, what we're experiencing is unprecedented, not only for our generation, for the entire history of humanity. And climate change in itself is, in fact, a great accelerator. The basic conclusion here is that these crises are actually symptoms of the mega trends that have been around and we've been discussing about for many years, like technological breakthroughs, like the very climate change that we've talked about, shifting economic power, social instability, the world that is shaping. And despite the fact that in previous years we've talked about these megatrends as something theoretical and long-term that could have been addressed with the leisurely sort of actions over decades, the reality is that they are so interconnected that they are fueling each other and they are accelerating as a result, and it creates a number of crises. So the conclusion here is that the world is changing, and these crises are an adjustment mechanism in an inevitable direction of travel. And the sooner we understand where the world is going, the sooner we can make the necessary adjustments and reforms, as is the section that we're covering now. So in Cyprus, as we've heard also from the minister, very rightly, we have good reasons to be confident about our ability to handle crisis, because we've been having a very good record over the last 10 years at least in coping with financial and fiscal crisis, bailouts, closure of systemic financial institutions, non-performing loans, pandemic-induced lockdowns. The realization for us here in Cyprus is that our small size as an economy actually is indeed a great strength in terms of resilience. And our extroverted nature, our ability to continuously connecting to the outside world, provides us with that bounce-back possibility. And we've heard about the great, very impressive projections for growth this year. We heard the president in the morning talking about 5.7 for the year. The rating agencies confirming the strength of the Cyprus economy. So the question really is this enough? Should we rely on a good track record and small size for the resilience? Is a progression sufficient? And usually when we talk about the future, we really talk about we need to have a vision. We need to have strategic alignment behind a vision. We need to have a strategy. We need to have a plan. I'm very proud that we've been involved in supporting the government in developing Cyprus's Vision 2035. And the reality, and I know Andreas, as the Vice President of the National Economic and Competitiveness Council, will talk more about that strategy, long-term economic growth strategy that underpins the Vision 2035. And the vision is a great vision. It's for Cyprus to be one of the world's best countries to live, best countries to work, and best countries to do business in. And it may sound a little bit aspirational, but it's not, because we know that we can be that country. And there is a strategy that is based on enabling the economy to become even more of a business and trade hub and a tech capital of Europe and a leader in sustainability. And we have the Recovery and Resilience Fund, 1.2 billion, supporting reforms, structural reforms, enabling that direction. And there is a lot of evidence of progress. The minister mentioned quite a few. We are observing the fact that we are indeed emerging as quite an interesting tech hub in Cyprus. There is improvement in important indices, like the European Innovation Scoreboard, or DESI. We've been, a relative ranking within European countries is actually improving. It's there. There is an evident alignment and improvement in the alignment of the state with politicians, the business community, supporting the pivoting of the economy. So there, leapfrogging is possible for a country. Talking about tech hubs as an example, modern tech hubs need much less heavy infrastructure than in the past. It's more the softer factors that support the ecosystem necessary for a tech hub to flourish, like enabling immigration, tax, intellectual property frameworks, transparent legal environment, efficient state. These are things very much within our control that can be done relatively quickly in small economies. We have introduced a number of incentives to facilitate this. And also self-fueling of these ecosystems is possible. We have seen that as more and more tech companies come and as more and more digital talent comes in Cyprus, it forms a community of its own. It creates the conditions for people to connect and share and improve digital skills. And there's still a lot of progress that we can continue to make in connecting academia with the tech companies and the local community of tech professionals with the foreign community of tech professionals. But all these things are happening. So what is my message? My message really is that we have a vision, we have a strategy, we have a plan, we have a resilience and recovery fund to help us fund some of these reforms. We know the reforms that are necessary. They're all, and I think by now everybody is almost tired of talking about strategic papers and tired of talking about what needs to be done. And we all know that we need to become better in pain points, on becoming more business-centric and citizen-centric, and the judicial reform and the government transformation and on and on and on, education and schooling and everything else. So my point in sort of bringing my intervention to a close is that we need, as a country, in my view, to really look at us from an external lens in. As PwC, we are very passionate about our country's ability to be a very attractive and sustainable regional business and tech hub. We're very passionate about our ability to fulfill that vision. And all of us are important stakeholders in that collective effort. So let me reemphasize my final messages. The world is changing, the change is accelerating, and is fueled by interconnected megatrends. The real question is relevance. It's about how do you play in that changing world. And it's about that strategy of how you position with determination there. We know the reforms, so the real question is execution, speed of execution, and scale of execution. And for the scale of execution, really, it's about the scale of our aspiration. And the scale of our aspiration is linked to our confidence, to our passion, and our determination to implement things that within a small economy are easy. They are stopped by internal resistance in the system. We are a small enough economy that if we have that shared vision and that shared passion to be that great country in the world, these things are easy. So my message is, we all have a lot of work to do individually and collectively and act very responsibly, but with aligned passion and vision within this crisis, which are adjustment mechanisms, to be a very, very successful, prosperous country for the future. Thank you very much.